Well, I think as we move in our industry, we're meant to be looking long term, aren't we? And we've got some of the biggest pool of long-term capital in the world, and it would be remiss of us not to look at the things that are a threat to our business models and the world in general. And what we looked at in this panel was all about geopolitics. We were talking about the trade wars, we were talking about the trade-offs, we were talking about what the digital world and the Trump tweets have done in our world. And we were looking at that. We had three experts on the panel. We had Lord Jonathan Hill, who's the former Commissioner for Financial Services at the European Union. We had Tom Donilon, who served as Obama's National Security Advisor. He served 3 presidents. He also has been the emissary to a number of world leaders, including Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. So he has the inside track on pretty much all things security. And then we had Joachim Levy from the World Bank, and Joachim is an expert on emerging markets, on sustainability, and on the impact of economics on those groups. So we discussed all these issues and threw them up in the air and had, I think, a pretty robust and thought-provoking debate. Well, what we've basically seen is that, Francis Fukuyama in about, I think it was 89, talk about the end of nationalism, and that capitalism had won out. He spoke way too early. And what we were talking about was there's threats to the very fundamentals of trade and capitalism, and the world order is being redefined. China is the second largest economy in the world. By most measures will be the largest by 2030. More people now trade with China than they do with the US as their largest trading partner. And yet, the traditional US alliances, both in trade and politics, have been torn down. You've had TPP not going ahead, TTIP not going ahead, NAFTA being questioned, and so on. And the speaker spoke a lot about that. The biggest threat to our economies and the business is simply geopolitics and trade. And, those are the things that, as an industry, we can't control. So we better be aware of what's coming and hopefully try to influence some of the governments to do the right thing in some of these debates we're all having. Well, we agree we can control a number of things. Too much time is spent on arguing with the governments and regulators and not looking at this massive beneficial thing we do for society, not just insurance, but all the trillions and trillions of dollars we have in investment assets. Another thing we can do is, the speakers thought that the world was ready for some more appropriate regulation. That some of the speakers suggested that regulators have been uncontrolled, unfettered and unregulated themselves for too long, and that maybe we needed to be able to look at that and step back and say, what is proportionate and appropriate and competitive regulation globally? And perhaps we haven't been as good at that as we should have. But regulators need to be held accountable as well, just as businesses do to society. We're both serving the same end customer, aren't we? Regulators and our businesses. We both must be held accountable. We both must do the right thing. And you know what? That isn't always the case.